I think, and perhaps I'm wrong, that there is still this sense of support for the Tories. Of course, there's a lot of people angry, but I think that a lot of people don't care about these parties. A lot of people feel, to Boris Johnson's point that I played earlier, that the media are almost whipping up an orchestrated witch hunt against Boris Johnson. Do you think that's fair or not?
I think there's been quite substantial polling evidence asking people whether they've heard about these stories and whether they care about these stories. You're certainly right that there is a group of voters who don't care about them. And you're certainly right that what voters care about most is having a government that has their interests at heart, that is working to serve them. I think the problem is that this stuff suggests that there is one rule for the government and a different rule for the citizens. And that just convinces people, I think on a large scale, that the government doesn't have their best interests at heart because the government isn't interested in the citizens' interests, if that makes sense. And I think, you know, you've played a clip from Boris Johnson's interview earlier on. I think it's worth kind of viewers hunting it out and watching the whole thing. It is genuinely remarkable because his story absolutely is this, that it's not the wrongdoing or the misbehaviour, it's the media talking about the misbehaviour. And there's a really good kind of hack for stopping the media talking about your bad behaviour is don't do the bad behaviour. You know, it works like a treat, works every time. And that's the problem. Boris Johnson, in that interview, says that it's his job, it's the government's job to persuade the media to be interested in vaccinations and skills policy. Do you know what? It's the communications department's job to persuade the journalists to be interested. It's the government's job to get on with actually doing things. But this government's not interested in that. They say we're having 40 hospitals, but they're not hospitals, they're not 40 of them, and they're not new. And they promise it all about the story that they're telling and never about the delivery and the consequences. And in this interview, Boris Johnson basically accepts. He thinks he's the PR guy for the government. He seems to have forgotten he's supposed to be the government.